this is quarterfinal 1 of the Eink Tablet World Cup. This is the Tab Ultra C versus the Lenovo Smart Paper. I think you already know which one I think is the favourite going into this. The seed was definitely the Tab Ultra C, so let's find out what happens when they go head to head. So this little comparison was part of a live stream where I played out a World Cup of Eink tablets. It's not the final verdict on how these two tablets compare, but really it's just a fun way to make a whole load of side-by-side comparisons and give you a bunch of demos of the standout features of these great devices. I hope you'll join me on a future live stream, and I'll look forward to answering your questions live. And this is quarterfinal 1 with the Tab Ultra C versus the Lenovo Smart Paper. The Tab Ultra C is going to use its feature. It's a 300 dot per ink. My finger moved too fast apparently. It's 300 dot per inch black and white screen. It's going to use that high resolution in its black and white, the way it displays black and white. And then Lenovo is the older 227 dots per inch or pixels per inch black and white screen. The difference isn't massive for normal reading. It isn't massive at all, but that's an easy win for the Tab Ultra C against the Lenovo Smart Paper there. So it's straight away going to be 1-0, and I'll just keep score on a little notepad for both, and you can see hopefully how you get around them is different on all of them. Here's the notes here. Add a new notebook. I will tell you more about each as I go. So far, the Lenovo Smart Paper 0. I've got into text note by accident. This does text notes as well on the Tab Ultra C. So I'll just go into any notepad. And the Tab Ultra C currently has 1. So that 300 dots per inch is the first score for the Tab Ultra C. And even, straight away after those first opening moments, the Tab Ultra C is really putting the hammer down. It's really winning against the Lenovo Smart Paper. The Lenovo Smart Paper can't live with the fact that the Tab Ultra C has the full Google Play Store. That is one of the biggest things that any full Android tablet is going to win out over the Lenovo Smart Paper. You see some funny pixelation there, and you see that slight delay that you occasionally get when you first do a stroke on the Tab Ultra C. It's finally rendered that start there. I don't actually see that, but I have seen some funny screen effects on that, so I'm not just going to give a point to Lenovo Smart Paper for that, because they both have those occasional glitches, and this is one that's kind of well known as a first stroke sometimes on the Tab Ultra C, especially after changing tools, I think. Yeah, and then it eventually renders. So that's a bit of a funny one. So you've got the full Google Play Store over here on the Tab Ultra C. You can put different apps onto the Lenovo Smart Paper. The only way to do that is to actually download an APK or put an .apk file, which is like an install file, onto the machine somehow, and then you can actually add different apps. But of course, you just can't live with the fact that you can't even use anything that's managed by Google Play services, any account management like that. You can't live with it if you don't have the full Google Play Store on here. The next thing is the Lenovo is going to actually show off its quite elegant design. This is quite a nice, elegant design from the Lenovo, I must admit. It's nice and thin. The case is very well made. The kind of two, so it's one slightly etched and one smoother. The metallic finish on the back there. Yeah, it's a very nice finish. The design is nicer here on the Lenovo. Tab Ultra C is not a bad design, but we've heard a lot about the camera bump. We know how well that camera bump has been received on the Tab Ultra C. Not very well at all, because it makes everything quite bumpy, unless it's in the case, in which you just don't mind when it's in the case at all. But I think definitely the overall package, they both have these kind of sharp edges, but this is thinner and lighter as well. The Tab Ultra is a heavier machine as well. And I'm just going to need to pick out an eraser or select and then delete it that way. So, there are different options for different erase selections, etc. as well. But let's go for a brush now, make it as thick as you can be, and give it 1.1 goal, if you like, because the design, it is a nicer design. It is a more satisfying finish there. Lenovo is going to try and counter with its software experience. I read a review earlier today. I read a review from an expert source of reviews, which says it thought the software was well thought out on the Lenovo. It isn't. Also, one of the cons actually was that it wasn't quite as nice as remarkable. And I just think that, are they talking about the build? I think it's just as nice as remarkable, really. But I just thought that was a little bit of a non-review statement there. And to say that the software was well thought out on here is a bit ridiculous, because it is not. I actually went after this, after I read that review, I went back to it and checked if there were any updates, and there weren't any updates, because I was having a problem with my planner. And what I do with my planner is I write my notes on the PDF planner. And I found that when this device rotates, that it doesn't rotate the annotations. I thought this was absolutely ridiculous that this was the case, that bit of text doesn't rotate in the same way. You know, it doesn't stay in the same place on the page, your actual annotations, when you rotate it. So I thought that was absolutely ridiculous. I was hoping that they'd maybe change that. And then I found that actually, when I went back to this library here, which is where my planners were, that I'd been using when I'd used this device at school as work as my planner, all my PDF planners were in this library, and they've all just disappeared, as were several other PDF books that I had here on the tablet, just gone. And they're not just gone from the library, they've gone from the whole tablet. So I have no idea how to do that. And it is not a well thought out software experience. And I couldn't find them in the file system at all either. So for that reason, which the software experience, you know, nobody's saying that the Boox software experience is a smooth one, because it does have its kinks that need to be ironed out. And there's lots of changes that happen sort of to add things that sort of make them harder to use sometimes. The software experience is better on the Tab Ultra C. The Lenovo, surprisingly lost my PDF planner, which is crazy, right? And I think that counts as an own goal. And luckily, the Tab Ultra C is probably thinking, at this point, we want to get on the subs, we want to conserve our energy for the next round, and we'll just sort of kick the ball about and keep the ball there, because we don't need to beat the Lenovo any more than that. I think it's pretty clear, really, that the winner of this quarterfinal is going to be the Tab Ultra C. I don't think there'll be any surprises in that. Yeah, which one did you want me to demonstrate the erasing on? Well, you can actually use styluses with erasers on the back on both of them. You don't get a eraser or an eraser button on the actual Lenovo Smart Paper, which is a bit of a nuisance. And you've basically got two different types of erasing. You've basically got an eraser, well, there's three, I suppose. You've got erase just what is above, so this can like just erase the exact bit that you're going over, or erase the whole stroke, so it remembers when that whole pen stroke was taken and erases the whole thing, or you can erase the area just like this, and that's the same for all of them, really. This, by default, on the back is always just a stroke eraser on this, I believe. Well, that's what I leave it on as. Anyway, I hope that's useful. Yeah, I actually think, to be honest, that the best way to do an eraser is just to have it on the side of the pen, to be honest. As long as the button isn't in a place where you accidentally press it all the time. The Boox stuff is nice, but it's quite expensive. Yes, it is. The Note Air 2 is going to feature later. Note Air 2 Plus is going to feature later, which would be your cheaper alternative to get in there, or get one of the smaller devices. Yeah, that pretty big oversight was that the rotating the thing. I know, crazy there. And I've seen Enk's got some good reviews on their YouTube channel as well, so do go ahead and check them out after this as well. Yeah, I've no problem with it including a camera, but the camera could probably have been included flush to the back of the device. I think the camera bump was a kind of design choice, really. I don't think, in fact, that you know, if you've got a small sensor, which this will be, you can fit that within the width of the device. That is purely a cosmetic camera bump, and doesn't look good. It isn't even always like perfectly aligned to the edge of the device. It just generally, this is a bit of a travesty, this camera bump. But hey, it's there. I think it's there because if you give something an Ultra name, that was the kind of look that Samsung came up with when they came up with the Ultra. And that's what people kind of expect in a way for some reason. There's a big camera bump. Right, so the Tab Ultra C is going through. There's been no surprises there so far. So that did come out as we were expecting. It's an absolute triumph from the Tab Ultra C. It really did play that match with one hand behind its back, didn't it? The result doesn't necessarily mean that one of these tablets is actually better than the other. And if you do want to know my final conclusions about how all the features of these two tablets stack up, then the best place to have a look is on the website eWritable.com, where Dan has used my testing data to let you make your own comparison chart between any Eink tablets which might interest you. And all of that data is based off my full 2 weeks of testing, and I haven't just pulled down the press release and filmed a video based on what that says, nor have I just opened the box and played about for a few hours and pressed record. If I've reviewed an Eink tablet, I've used it in my daily work life in my professional job as a teacher for at least 2 weeks. And that way I really find out what it's like to live with and rely on it. And you really find out the benefits and the bugs that way. So here are my video reviews of the 2 tablets featured in today's match.